Make sure you don't miss a thing. Go to starzology.com/newsletter and sign up. Welcome to the Starzology Astrology Podcast. I'm your host, Alison Price, and I'm here with my good friend and co-host, Arwynne O'Neill.
Hello, Alison. It's great to be here again.
So nice to have you once more. So this time we're going to be talking about something a little different. We're going to be talking about the rising order of the inner planets.
That sounds great.
So this is just something that's kind of interesting. And I thought we could go over it and just use it. This is what I would call like a bells and whistles thing. It really is something very different.
I love it.
Yeah. So back in the day, Finnish astrologer Raimo A. Nikula contributed important research on the rising orders of the Sun, Mercury, and Venus.
Okay.
And he wrote an article called The Rising Orders of the Sun and Inner Planets, Introduction to the Patterns of Ego Processing. And I do reference that. This was in July, August 2010, where he explores how the sequence in which these three bodies rise can shape personality, expression, and ego development.
All right. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, so that's kind of an interesting thing. So what we have is we're talking about, in everybody's chart, we're talking about the Sun, Mercury, and Venus. And there are actually 6 patterns of ways that these three can rise. And typically, you want to have a chart where the rising order has nothing in between those planets. So you've got, say, the Sun rising, then Mercury, then Venus, but Saturn's or Jupiter's not in between. So the idea is that they are being without interruption from other planets. That's what he was talking about.
So that's the ideal situation.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, we all have our, so you look at your birth chart and see which of the planets were rising, in which sequence they were rising.
Yeah.
Okay, so Arwynne, so quickly having a look at your chart, which is your sequence for the Sun, Mercury, and Venus?
So the Sun, Mercury, and then the Sun, and then Venus. And there are 2 things in between the Sun and Venus.
Yes.
And that would be the Moon and Pluto.
Okay.
But it's funny. Let's actually just do a full disclosure.
Yes.
Here,
Let's
because
let it hang out.
Yeah. Because when I was looking at my chart, I'm thinking, okay, from the ascendant, what's the closest to the ascendant? Like right above the ascendant.
Yes.
And in that case, like it would be Venus because that's in my 11th house, and then Mercury and the Sun are both in my 10th house. But it's more about which was first across the ascendant, which would mean that the farthest from the ascendant of those 3 is actually first.
Yes.
So that would be Mercury and then the Sun.
Okay, so that would be your pattern of the 6. So you've got Mercury, Sun, Venus.
Venus, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And in my case, I've got Mercury, Sun, Venus.
Nice.
Amazing. It's amazing. But I also have planets in between. So, you know, he's trying to be specific about not without interference, but still we need to go through it because not every chart will have uninterfered Sun, Mercury, and Venus.
And does it matter which planets those interfere between or not?
Well, he just prefers it if there are no interferences. Right. Otherwise, you ignore it. So in your case, in my case, we would tend to want to ignore what he's talking about because he wants the pure essence coming. First it's this, then it's this, then it's this coming in. It's like 3 people are entering the room on your behalf. So you've got Mercury, Sun, Venus coming in.
Yeah.
Boom, boom, boom. How do you do? How do you do? How do you do? And I too have Mercury, Sun, Venus coming in, which is actually crazy because I didn't know that until we just spoke about it this second.
Yeah.
So kind of interesting there.
For sure. And I think you said it doesn't matter, but just to be clear, does it matter what planets it is that interfere?
He doesn't say.
Oh, okay.
He doesn't say.
No.
Yeah.
Cool.
So the idea is that he's got this idea about, and I referenced the article, he's got the rising order general meaning, right? Oh. So the first planet to rise represents original perception and how the person initially encounters the world. Oh. Okay, so that's your first planet. So in both of our cases, it's Mercury.
Yeah, makes sense.
You do? You think so? Yeah. Well, I know. And then the second planet to rise, this builds upon and solidifies those first impressions, giving them form and structure. So this is the supporting planet to that very first one to rise. Yeah. This is your second planet to rise of Mercury, the Sun, or Venus. And then the third planet to rise indicates the area that requires ongoing nourishment and attention in order to be fully integrated into the personality.
Nice.
So what he's saying here is that you've got your first planet to rise, which is the original perception of yourself. And then you're going to build up on, solidify on the second planets meaning.
Yeah.
And then the third will actually be the one that requires ongoing nourishment and care.
Yeah. I'm guessing that with most people, Venus is going to be farther away, because we've talked about this in the past, that the relationship between the sun and Mercury, it's either going to be conjunct or nothing, right?
Yeah.
It's always going to be either conjunct or one sign away.
Yes.
So most people will either have those very, very close. They will probably not have anything in between. And if they do, it'll be Venus, most likely, right?
Well,
it could be anything, actually.
I got Uranus between, you see.
Between the sun and Mercury?
Yeah.
Oh, amazing. Okay, well, here you go. This is, now that I'm thinking about it, it could be any planet. And it's really interesting that it's an outer planet.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
It's
that's cool.
There's a lot to this. This is a very simple concept.
Right.
But there's kind of a lot to it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if we're thinking about, I'm just thinking of the the Antikythera mechanism, where it's all the little gears and the wheels and because there could be any kind of combination. There's certain ones that are always going to be clustered together, but then something could just kind of intervene. Because they're constantly
the hooligan coming in.
The hooligan Uranus. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or Pluto in my case. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So Nikula goes on to say that he wants it to be consecutive without interruption. That means there's nothing in between these planets. Mm-hmm. Well, anyway, that sounds great. And he did massive study on this, because what he's saying is that these 3 planets can illuminate the way we process life experiences, form impressions, and integrate the ego. Now, when these 3 planets rise consecutively and without interruption from the other planets, the order can be seen as a kind of ego processing pattern. And there are 6 possible sequences, and each one has a distinct characteristic. Mm-hmm. So once we've got our head around what I'm actually talking about here, and everybody's looking at their chart going, oh, the who, what? And maybe you want to go back and listen to what we said. So there are 6 combinations of the sequence, and we're just going to talk about those now as well.
Yeah.
And then I do have, I've got some examples for each one as well, which may be helpful to even help us understand what we're actually talking about here.
Yeah.
So the first one is, the first sequence is Sun, Mercury, Venus. So the first to rise here is the Sun. So the original self-expression is confident and visible. The person projects their identity naturally.
Yeah.
Yeah. When the second planet to rise is Mercury, thoughts and communication solidify the first impression. The individual thinks through their self-expression clearly. Mm-hmm. This is a logical sequence, right? And then if the third to rise is Venus, relationships and values require attention and integration. Social and emotional connections are developed gradually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So an example is someone with this sequence might appear self-assured and articulate, but slowly learns to harmonize with others emotionally.
Yeah.
So that's the first combination. We have the Sun, Mercury, and Venus. And I have a chart with this, which I've been digging around, talk about doing research this week. Mm-hmm. But it's actually Maxie's chart. And I don't know if you remember, we did her chart last year. And she actually has this unfettered, what did you say? Uninterrupted. She's got Sun, Mercury, and Venus. So she's got Sun in Scorpio, Mercury in Scorpio, then Venus in Sagittarius. Nice. And she actually has this with no interference from the other planets. Amazing. And I'm showing, if you click through to the blog post, you can actually see her chart there. Lovely. And because we did a full interpretation, it made sense for us to look at this chart.
Yeah.
Of course, I don't want to go into the whole thing now, but that's exactly what he's saying, that these are, depending on the position the planets rise in, this is the type of interpretation one could put on these, on this sequence that's rising, right? So I hope I'm making a bit of sense here now at this point. I know, yeah. I know. Now, our second sequence is Sun, Venus, Mercury.
Okay.
So here the Sun is again first. So your core self-expression is strong and central. And it would be. The sun is your core, your ego, your heart, the main thing, right? And then if the second planet to rise in our group is Venus, social grace, charm, and aesthetic awareness reinforce their identity, which is the Sun.
Right.
So then that's the difference there. You've got Venus coming behind the Sun and not Mercury. And then the third one, Mercury, communication and intellectual integration take longer to fully develop.
Mm-hmm.
So an example here is this person may be socially engaging and likable, yet may take time to articulate thoughts or make decisions verbally.
Yeah.
So are you seeing the pattern here of how the meaning of these planets are being expressed, but he's got the stages, step 1, step 2, step 3.
And we've kind of made it sound more complicated than it is at the beginning.
No.
But really it's just about the order of the Sun, Mercury, and
the rising order.
Away from and when we say rising order, because I'm looking at a lot of charts and it just is so easy with mine because all of those personal planets are in that first near
the ascendant.
Yeah, they're between the ascendant and the midheaven. So it's very easy to see what the order is. But if you just look at your chart and you look at the ascendant, if you have the Sun in the first house, for example, and then let's say Mercury it'd probably be in the first house as well. And then Venus is like somewhere else. That would be the Sun, Mercury, Venus, wherever it is. But yeah.
But if your 3 planets happen to be on the other side near the descendant, you still have to realize if you turn the chart to that day, on your day you were born, which rose first of the 3?
Which is the farthest from the ascendant, from going clockwise.
Yes, and this does beg the question that if, say, for instance, the Sun is conjoined Mercury and they actually changed positions during the course of your birth, you want the ones just before your birth. Okay?
No, you say that again.
Okay. So if you look at your chart and say you've got Mercury's is 10 seconds away from the Sun, and it's over maybe on the 8th house, and by the time you rotate the chart, it's actually moved position. That's what we're looking for. So very carefully, you would only want to go down that road if one of the Sun, Mercury, or Venus were conjoined each other.
Right. And if
because
they're so close, then got it.
Yeah, so they actually have the potential to change position.
Interesting.
Yeah, I know. Gosh, doesn't it tap into your Virgo? Because I was thinking,
I was thinking, thank goodness mine have a little breathing room.
yes, exactly. Yeah. So the example I have for the Sun, Venus, Mercury person is Lisa Minnelli.
Ooh.
And so her rising order was Sun, Venus, Mercury with no interference from the other planets. And she's got the Sun in Pisces, Venus in Aries, and Mercury in Aries.
Wow.
Clear as a bell. They are just rising up there. Yeah. So that is the example for that second rising order. So our third rising order now is Mercury, Sun, Venus. Now this is you and I, although we do have interference, right? Yeah. So what he's saying is the first planets rise Mercury, the initial perception is analytical, curious, and mentally alert.
Yeah.
And honestly, that is us, right?
Totally.
Here we are. Doing a podcast, which of course Mercury rules. And when you meet people and when I meet people, you're cha-cha-cha-cha-cha, and you get their name and everything. And there's a mental awareness of the person. You're not just ignoring them or something like that. So you've got that first impression there is the Mercury. Then second is the Sun. So here, self-awareness grows, giving clarity and confidence to ideas and personal identity.
Yeah.
So hopefully we are both self-aware at this stage.
Yeah.
Giving us both clarity and confidence in our own way, right? Because we've got different signs, let's face it.
I love that. Actually, that is a really interesting insight. The communication comes first, the chitter-chatter, et cetera, et cetera. Yes. The self-awareness comes second, because I totally feel that. I feel like it's been kind of a long, road to feeling, I know who I've known who I am, but it's that front of being intellectual, being,
knowledgeable, alert.
Articulate. Exactly. Yes. Comes first, for sure.
Yes. I know. I too have this Mercury thing. I mean, if I'm on the bus and people chat to me, I'm straight back there, but I'm not getting into it. But I could certainly, people are saying, where do I get off? Or where's the this? Where's the that?
Right.
People are always asking me directions in the city.
Yeah. And I always want to be helpful, no matter what.
Yeah. And know where which road's what and where you get off and things like that.
And for as Venus being the last thing, relationships, I've always kind of been in a relationship, like a romantic relationship, but friendships, which is also, definitely a Venusian thing, has definitely been, that's kind of been, the last frontier. And, luckily I can say at this age, I have a wonderful collection of friends,
Right.
and cultivating those friendships has been an incredibly amazing and rewarding thing over the last, I would say, decade and a
10
little
years
more.
now.
But going back farther than that, like especially before I met my current partner, like 25 years ago, and even when I was first with him, up until maybe almost as recently as 2018, when I really started getting outside and roller skating and joining these like different communities, I could honestly say I had one close friend. And I had a few friends who I kept in contact with from a long time ago via email, but barely, and not to the degree that I would say like I felt proud of how I was keeping up with those relationships.
Yeah.
But now, like I feel like we have such a wonderful and thriving social life, and I feel like it's really come a long way. But it has been not something that came naturally at all.
Yeah. Well, Nikula, his comments on Venus coming through as third here is emotional and relational integration develops gradually.
Yeah.
And an example would be quick-thinking individuals who gain self-confidence over time, but need to nurture relationships carefully.
Yeah.
And honestly, I'm right behind you with this one. It's just hasn't been on my front burner.
Yeah.
What interests me in life this has not been building relationships particularly.
Yeah.
I mean, I was married for like 35 years, but that was fine. But apart from that,
right.
now I find myself reaching out and growing a handful of friends who actually I can talk to because I just can't be doing this casual social chit chat and move on. Yeah. So very interesting that it's taken. It's not that we don't develop it. It's just that it's not important to start with, but the first planet was.
Yeah. Totally.
All right.
Yeah.
Wow. So the example chart I have for this sequence of Mercury, Sun, Venus is also another chart whom we've done previously in the past. And this was Super Jupy's chart. I don't know if you remember, we did this way back when. She's got Mercury in Aquarius, the Sun in Pisces, and Venus in Pisces. So she has the same, but unfettered. That's not the word he used.
Uninterrupted.
Uninterrupted, yeah. She's got her solidly clear.
Girl, uninterrupted.
Uninterrupted. And whereas we do have planets within there that would have slowed down the process, clearly pushing Venus further down the pile.
Yeah.
So this is kind of interesting, and it would be interesting if she's listening, that Super Jupy I'm talking about, to come back to us with some comment about how she feels about this rising order of her planets.
For sure.
And it was just sheer luck that she's got it there uninterrupted. So that's why I put this chart in as an example. And as I say, you can click through to the blog post and see these charts, what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Amazing.
Very interesting.
Totally.
Okay, so our fourth combination then is the sequence Mercury, Venus, Sun.
Mm-hmm.
So first up here now is Mercury, and here he's saying mental activity and communication dominate initial impressions. Okay, clearly it's Mercury's up front. Second then is Venus. So here now social skills, harmony, and an aesthetic sense solidify earlier perceptions that were made from the Mercury.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the third point, the Sun is the one. Ego expression and personal authority need further nurturing.
Mm-hmm.
So this is someone who's going Mercury, Venus, Sun. And the example is this would be someone who's highly social and charming people who may initially undervalue their own identity until later in life.
Interesting.
So the chart I have for this is Kandinsky, which... It happens to be a chart we have spoken about at some point in the past when we were doing the art chart.
Yeah.
But I don't really know that much about his biography about this. So anyway, he's got Kandinsky's rising order is Mercury, Venus, Sun with no interference. And he's got Mercury in Sagittarius, Venus in Sagittarius, and the Sun in Sagittarius.
Wow.
So clearly that Mercury was quite dominant to start with. Then came, what can I say, the art of Venus came through confidently, and then the Sun was later.
Yeah.
I don't know if you could shed any further light on his life history. I don't know much more about it. But
I don't either. I do remember that my graphic design teacher in college was obsessed with him.
Yeah,
so
he's right up there with my top artists.
Yeah.
Definitely. Love his stuff. So that's interesting. So he's got the Mercury, the Venus, and then the Sun. So that's a great thing there.
Yeah.
Now, our fifth combination is Venus, Sun, Mercury.
Yeah.
So this is the first time we've got Venus leading the pack. So now he's saying here, Nikula's saying, when Venus rises first, approachability, charm, and relationship awareness are immediately evident.
Yeah.
Then you have the second planet, which is the Sun, where self-expression and core identity strengthen early impressions.
Mm-hmm.
And third is Mercury. So intellectual integration and communication skills require ongoing development.
Yeah.
So this third planet is always the one that needs to be worked on.
Yeah.
The others seem to come more naturally.
Yeah. And I have an interesting example of this combination.
Yeah.
And that is my mother.
Right.
And we've talked about her. So if you're a fan of the podcast, you will know. You may even be able to picture her in your mind from all that I've talked about her. She started her career started her life as an aspiring ballerina, ballet dancer. That was her obsession in her teens.
Mm-hmm.
She joined the ballet company in Toronto. She was 15 when she started. I think she was maybe even younger, but 15 when she really started in earnest.
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually moved into other things. Had me. Eventually went back to college after going into medical school in her 20s and then leaving to go into the corporate world and into veterinary medicine and running her own studio for a while. And in her 70s, went back to college and is now getting her PhD.
Tackling that Mercury. She's finally addressing Mercury.
Exactly. And now her entire life is so mercurial. But she started out with the Venus, with the
ballet,
the
art,
and the beauty and the pursuit of grace and balance and all those things, and she's got Venus and Libra like me.
Yeah.
And then the Sun, the ego thing and the career and being a mother, blah, blah, blah. And now it's this intellectual force of nature that she's become in her.
And it's so interesting because we are talking about experiences of you, me, and her, for instance. And we're talking people, it's over 50 when we're tackling this third planet.
Oh, yeah.
It's definitely not happening in your 20s. It's definitely further down the line.
Yeah.
Yeah. His example comment here is warm and likable individuals whose confidence and voice develop after establishing social connections.
Yeah. I love that.
So that's a very interesting, and it's great that you've actually got someone who you know personally, and there's no one in my family who's got these patterns, so I couldn't comment on those. And the example chart I have, you're going to love this, is Julian Assange.
Oh, amazing. Wow.
Because I was searching high and low for this pattern of unencumbered, uninterrupted pattern. So he's got Venus, Sun, Mercury. He's got Venus in Gemini, the Sun in Cancer, and then Mercury in Capricorn.
Wow.
So it's almost as though, because if you look at him, he's pretty easy on the eye-ish. And then he's got the Sun, but the Mercury, he's getting his voice out, has only come at the end.
Yeah.
And he's still, I don't know, still struggling to get his voice out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's
so
like,
interesting.
It's a cloud, and over 50, and he's the message, the word, whatever it is, he's trying to share with the world. That's that Mercury coming out later in life.
And it's also representing that is a struggle.
Yes.
Yeah. That third planet is always the challenge.
It is, because
it's the one that doesn't.
You're leaving it on the back burner, aren't you?
Set himself up in such a way that every communication is a challenge and almost an act of subterfuge and yeah.
But everybody suddenly knew his name, but they didn't know his name when he was younger.
Yeah.
Mm. So that's one chart. That's one chart I have there. Again, I only know so much about him. I don't profess to know all of his biography, but I was trawling through charts to find charts with these patterns, because you're looking for specifics here. I was saying,
Yeah, you can't. I mean, it's not a popular enough thing where you can just search rising order and get a nice list from it.
Well, you can now. So I've got 6 examples. So that's absolutely great.
Yeah.
And then our final pattern of rising sequence is Venus, Mercury, Sun. So here, the first one is Venus. So social grace and relationship awareness are primary.
Mm-hmm.
Closely followed secondly by Mercury. Thoughts and communication refine the initial impressions so they can polish up their act. And then third is the Sun, where again, self-expression, personal authority, and ego integration take the most time to mature. So so that's a different combination altogether. And here, Nikula's example is that people who are outwardly charming and articulate, but spend more of life discovering their true identity and confidence.
Yeah, for sure.
And again, there's no one in my family with this, or you don't have any close people either. But the chart I have is Sam Altman's chart. So he's got Venus, Mercury, Sun.
Yeah.
And I'll just tell you, so he's got Venus in Aries, Mercury in Aries, and then the Sun is in Taurus. Yeah. So because he's still pretty young, I mean, he's only what? Yeah, he's 30, 40 something. That Sun is still to be developed for him.
Wow.
But the Venus,
look out world.
I know, the Venus and the Mercury has come through, and then he's got the Sun, not unfettered. I'll keep saying that word. Unencumbered. No, that wasn't it. You know, there's nothing between. Uninterrupted. So his pattern is, the rising order is Venus, Mercury, Sun.
Yeah.
Now, this is kind of interesting because you would, I thought his research was interesting because who'd have thought that you would even, as an astrologer, think, let me have a closer look into this, because it's got nothing to do with those 3 planets' placement within the chart. It's just about how they rose on the day you were born.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So, and this just shows the importance of the ascendant and what's rising order and what's coming up first. And it hooks into morning planets and evening planets that go front and behind the sun.
Yeah.
Announcing you, yourself, and so on. We have spoken about this. So anyway, so I'm just going to recap what Nikula said, and then we'll have a further chat. So what he's saying is, so the first planet to rise indicates the initial perception and instinctive approach to life.
Yeah.
The second planet solidifies and supports those first impressions. And the third planet reflects areas that need attention and ongoing feeding to integrate fully into the personality.
Yeah.
Now, this is super interesting because if you are an astrologer and you are dealing with clients and you're looking at the rising order of these inner planets, you can be saying that we can see the first planet rise. You're quite confident in that. You're quite confident in the second. But this third planet, this is where you need to support yourself and to learn more and give attention to and nurture that third planet when you're later in life.
Yeah.
And I say this because most of my clients are 50 plus.
Yeah.
And they are still, and I have them, as you know, at 97 years old, they are still trying to where should they put their attention? What should they be doing? And I think it's a very interesting.
So look at that.
Interesting bit of research this guy did.
Yeah.
That is simple enough that you could just look at a chart and you don't even need a correct birth time if the planets are just there, because you could still see.
I've been actually trolling through my collection of charts and flipping through, even the famous people who I'm just fascinated with, who the birth time is probably somewhat suspect. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's super interesting.
Do you have someone in particular you'd like to share with us there that you've been exploring?
Who did I see a second ago? One was Nikula Tesla.
Oh yeah.
I mean, who doesn't love Nikula Tesla?
We all love Tesla, don't we?
Yeah, exactly.
Not the Uber, so it's very difficult to get in the back seat, I'll tell you.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. And I mean, so there's his chart is, I don't know the rotten rating of it, but apparently he was born just after or just before midnight, but that could be a possibility.
That doesn't matter.
That's just kind of a clever thing to say if you're, Nikola Tesla. But yeah, his order is Mercury, Venus, Sun. And as we know, his entire thing was communicating these incredibly, brilliant ideas. And it was, just he was a mathematician,
right? That's Mercury. Yeah.
But then the ego thing is, his ideas were basically stolen from him by what's his name? The other Edison. Yeah, exactly. And he ended his life, the elephant killer. He ended his life in poverty and, descending into madness and caring for his pigeons and whatnot, and living in squalor.
Struggling to manifest that sun.
And that taking care of his ego, which sadly was,
I think that I really like this technique. I think it's a way that you can, if you're just looking at someone's chart casually, as one does if you go to an astrology group and they say, oh, can you look at my chart?
Yeah.
And they whip the thing out and you're looking at it. And straight off, you can check this rising order and go straight to probably that third planet and say, you need to develop this, blah, blah, blah. And they then come back to you and say, it's funny you should mention that, this and that and this and that. Like your mother going off to school and us here just,
So we can categorize this episode in the party trick category.
Yes.
Our new and emerging categories.
Yes. Up your sleeve with your astrology. Yes.
Totally.
Because you don't need to get clever. You don't need to be humming and hawing. And you don't even really need to pay attention to the house or the sign.
And you don't even need to know the birth time, really.
No, you don't.
Yes.
Exactly. So that is absolutely great.
That's very cool.
Yeah, I've just got some other thoughts here.
Please,
So there's three things what I like about this is the simplicity of it.
Yeah.
I like that this simple check of the inner rising order can provide you as the astrologer so much information right at the start. It seems to me to be an easy way to get a grip on the inner workings of yourself or the person in question. It's simple to get into. You can, if you're on your second astrology lesson, you can get a grip on this. The second thing is the interaction. And I think to understand this simple rising order offers a deeper lens into how your clients process experience, interact socially, and develop their ego over time. It also helps us to see the rhythm between intellect, relationships, and self-expression in your client's chart.
Yeah.
So you can speak to that.
Totally.
And then finally, because, not finally, it goes on, the list continues, natural rhythm. By exploring the rising order of the Sun, Mercury, and Venus, it gives you such a fascinating window into how you can process life, form impressions, and grow your sense of self. To look at which planet rises first, second, and third, you can see the natural rhythm of, as I've just said, perception, communication, and emotional integration in someone's chart. So it's a rhythm that's there because there's only 6 patterns. And as an astrologer, you don't have to remember a mountain of things. You've got to remember 3 things. And it brings in layers of personality. This technique is a reminder to us all that personality unfolds in layers, and each planetary rising sequence offers a unique path to understanding and self-expression.
Yeah.
If you read your own chart or someone else's chart, if you pay attention to the rising order, it can bring you a deeper insight into how thoughts, feelings, and emotions and identity come together over time.
Yeah.
So these are my thoughts. I like this. When I came across it, and it was several years ago, I wrote about it in my book, Aspiring Astrologer, but I thought we'd develop it a bit more here and just chat about it because it's an easy win.
Yeah.
You know, beginner astrologers can just hook into this and get a bit of a grip on it, understanding what it is. I think the research could go deeper and say, well, what age group does that first planet cover? And what age group does that middle planet cover? And then what age group does that last planet cover? Because we're sitting here chatting, we're thinking that's over 50. This is probably, I don't know, is it 30, 30, 30, 40, 40, 40?
Yeah.
Who knows? Or maybe even the gap and the distance between the rising of these planets it's got something to say about it as well. So I think there's opportunity there for further research.
Oh, for sure.
And I throw down the gauntlet to anyone.
Yeah. And I'm just going to interject. Now that I've seen a bunch of these charts, especially ones where I'm not really sure of the birth time, I could even give an easier way for someone who is looking at their chart to assess whether, what order they're in. Literally, it's just a thing of like counterclockwise.
It's counterclockwise.
Yeah, yes. Exactly. What order are they in counterclockwise?
Yes.
So if you're going clockwise and you see Mercury, regardless of where it is, and then the Sun and then Venus going clockwise, you just reverse that. So it's the counterclockwise order.
Yes. Yeah. And it's got nothing to do with if you've got 2 above the ascendant and 1 below those rows first and this one rows at the end. They are a group because they stick together and they are moving through the chart together, these 3 planets.
At least the Sun and Mercury will be very close together. And Venus might be separated, more so.
Yeah. But don't split it up and say, well, these 2 are above the ascendant, that's below.
Yeah,
do anything tricky.
It doesn't
Keep
matter.
it simple.
Yeah.
And what you do is you take the chart, you rotate it.
It's just
so the first planet's at the ascendant position. Then you say, the Sun and then Mercury and then Venus. And it's so interesting that both you and I have the same, which I didn't even notice.
A lot of people who I looked at actually have the same. That same order.
Well, there is only 6 patterns.
Yeah.
So what are we saying? There's only 6 ways this can unfold.
Yeah, which makes it even more delightful to talk about.
Yeah. The fact that we also have other planets interspersed is, it's kind of interesting because it will modify it. And I do think if you have the purely coming through, first it's this, then it's that, then it's that.
Yeah. They might be easier to integrate.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Whereas in your case, you've got Mercury, the Sun, then you've got the Moon, then you've got Pluto,
yeah,
bringing different vibes in, and only
For
then
sure.
is Venus, which
Yeah.
is way down the back.
yeah. Which explains why that Venus was, harder to integrate. Or
Yes.
yeah,
Well, this is it. I've got the same thing. I've got Mercury, then Uranus, then the Sun, and then Pluto, and then Mars, and then Venus.
Yeah.
So it's way down the list of things that
yeah.
I've been spending my time on.
Super interesting.
Yeah, it really, really is.
Yeah. So there's no better time than the present to drop in like a random digression.
Yeah.
It's very much astrology related, and these two things happened to me over the weekend, over the last couple of days, and I just wanted to bring them up because they're hilarious little things that happened.
Mhm.
So I met the new partner of a good friend recently,
Mhm.
and this friend brought his new girlfriend over,
Oh.
and so we get to meet her for the first time. They've been dating for a couple of months, so we've known this person for years. So it was quite interesting, and
So you were being brought to vet them, were you?
yeah, exactly. Like this person later on wrote to me and was like, "So, what are your impressions?" And I'm like, "Well, we absolutely love her." But one of the funniest moments, and my mother was over at the same time. She was visiting for the weekend, and so she got to meet her as well. And of course, my mother, she'll just go ahead and be like, "So, what's your birthday?" Which is great, because upon first meeting someone, I will not do that. It takes a couple meetings before I will, bother them with that. But my mother was like, "So, it's your birthday?" And this girl, just without even pausing, pulls out her phone and says, "Well, here's my chart."
Oh,
So I'm like, we like her.
Whoa.
She's like, "I'm very Libra." And sure enough, she's got like 4 planets in Libra. And we were like, yeah, she's a keeper. So,
Wow.
yeah. So that was one.
It's so infrequent that you meet anybody who can
Right.
even answer the question.
She's got the app. She's like, "Here's my planets." Like, oh my gosh.
Oh my God.
That was amazing. And of course, our friend is, not super into that, but just sitting there tolerantly going, "Yep,
Oh yeah.
I've
well,
learned a lot."
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
awesome. And then, okay, so this other thing happened just yesterday. I was moping around. I have had to recently change my internet provider, so I'm going through like all of the the hell of changing your email address everywhere and
Yes.
all your logins and all your everything, and of course, like, what is my password? Blah blah, nightmare. And my partner had it's like a guys' day kind of planned. It was like there was a hockey game. He's going to go and like
Yawn.
yeah, exactly. Just drink the faces off and,
Yep.
with a bunch of his coworkers and whatnot. So I'm like, okay, fine. So that's awesome. Like, go have a lovely evening. And like a couple hours later, he texts me. He's like, "How are you doing? I miss you," which is awesome. But an hour after that, he's like, he calls me actually. He's like, "Would you be interested in coming to the game? Someone bailed and there's an extra ticket." And I'm like, "Sure, why not?
Hockey.
Why not? Hockey, whatever." So I go to the hockey game, and then we all, like about 5 of us, I think, went to the bar afterwards, and we're having drinks. And this is a bunch of like bros, like guys who are like hockey fans, tattoos all up and down their arms. They work in the service industry. They're working at nice restaurants in Vancouver, and one of them has a couple of kids, and he's European, so he's got this wonderful accent and kind of a European sensibility. I think he's Slovakian.
Uh-huh.
Very, very charming guy. But he and my partner are kind of like rivals at work. They're like they're servers at this high end restaurant, and they kind of like they're sales competitors, right?
Right.
And of course, I'm like, "What?" I think I said, "What sign are you?" I think I did. I can't remember. But he's a Leo. Maybe however it was, he actually said, "No, this is it." He said, "I'm a Leo," and so I kind of like brightened up, and I'm like, "Oh my God." This makes perfect sense. And then he goes, "Oh yeah, and my kids, of course, are a Taurus and a Capricorn." And I'm like staring at him, and all of a sudden we're in this complete like conversation
Wow.
with like 4 guys and me about astrology, and I didn't bring it up. That was hilarious.
Wow.
And he's
Wow.
like, "Yeah, I don't even know what to do with this. The Taurus and the Capricorn, they're so stubborn." And I'm like, "Oh
Yes.
my God."
Yes.
Amazing. And I'm like, "And your wife?" And she's like, and he goes, "Oh, she's Aquarius." And I'm like, "Oh, brother." So of course she just like leaves the room and lets you deal with it. And he's like, "Yes."
Wow.
Yeah.
It is so rare to come across people who really do know anything about astrology or can hold a conversation.
It was hilarious. And of course, then Roger goes, "Do you know that my girlfriend has a, astrology podcast?" And
Yes.
he's like, "No, I had no idea."
And you whipped out your card and you gave it to them. Tell me you did, Owen. Tell me you did.
Of course. Yeah. Yeah.
That is brilliant. Because really, you're few and far between anyone who knows anything about astrology.
It was amazing.
Anything.
It was a delightful little thing.
Yeah. No, that's great. Those are great. There's hope.
Yeah, and these guys are like all in their 30s and stuff. So
so as this girl's now the girlfriend's whipping out the chart, you can now go straight to the rising orders, and you go straight in there without having to think house sign blah. You go straight to that, and it's just such a great in. Yeah,
Yeah, totally.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was my hopeful little bunch of interactions.
Wow, amazing. Well, we love to have astro interactions,
right?
Because they're so few and far between.
I know.
Okay, so Arwynne, I know that I sprung this all on you this evening, this rising orders of these inner planets.
Yeah.
And I know you know astrology clearly, and obviously you do. And I'm just wondering, what do you think about this? Is this something you might apply to charts?
Absolutely. And I love that it's just something new and fresh that kind of, it seems complicated at first, but then you realize it's actually quite simple. And I love that there are just 6 different combinations that you could have. And that's very, very accessible. Yeah, I love it. Okay. And I love walking in to come and record a podcast episode. And then I say to you, what is this first one that we're doing? What does that even mean? And you're like, I've got a blog post about it. Don't worry. I'll explain it.
Just for our listeners, Arwynne and I have a calendar about the podcast and what we're going to be recording. So it goes on for our Monday night saying we're talking about this and that. And
we do 2 episodes at a time.
Yeah. And so Arwynne would have said, well, what's this rising orders? You know what the second one is, but we're not going to mention it now. But
I like it when I learn something new. And
well, that's good.
Yeah.
And also it's not that, these are just such interesting things, and that people in the current astrologers of the last 100 years are still developing techniques and little tricks. And I think it's great. And I urge anyone out there to do the same,
Totally.
So, maybe there's something in there about the rising order of Saturn, Jupiter, and Mars. I don't know. I haven't done the research, but clearly there's an opening there for someone to look into those things as well.
For sure. Yeah. I love that.
That's great. Well, I'm glad you found it valuable, because I thought it was pretty cool when I discovered it. And then it took me hours to find these charts for this presentation. But the simplicity of it is going to be its winning thing, if you will.
Yeah, totally.
Because some things in astrology are so complicated. Yeah. And I think I'm not doing that. Like harmonics, I just can't be bothered. It's just way too much maths. Yeah. And so this is something that is very straightforward, and I like it. So,
it's not like planetary directions.
No, exactly. Yeah. Okay, so this has been great. We've been talking about the rising orders of the inner planets. We've been referencing Raimo A. Nikula's work. And I do have the reference there on the blog post. You can click through and see that. And that we are talking about what he had discovered about the rising orders of the Sun, Mercury, and Venus. We've looked at the 6 combination, the only 6 combinations that you could have. And we've discussed it back and forth. There's a lot more to be said, I think, on this, whether or not planets that do interfere make all the difference or not, because these planets are still rising. So one would have to consider that. If they're outer, maybe they're less or something like that. But that's kind of interesting. But anyway, if you found value in this episode, please do consider subscribing to our newsletter. And you can do that at starzology.com newsletter. Also, make sure that you're getting Arwynne's newsletter, and you can find her at...
I'm at mspink.net. That's mspink.net. And I send out my weekly newsletter every Saturday. I'm talking about art, goddesses, books, popular culture, and personal stories.
Fantastic. Yeah. So that's great. So Arwynne, thanks so much for being here today. Yeah. And to our listeners, I want to say thank you, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time.
Thanks so much for getting this far through the episode. I just want to take a moment to tell you about the 2 main options of my astrology services. So the first one is coaching. If you are an aspiring astrologer, and by that I mean someone who's perhaps a hobbyist astrologer, or someone who's learning astrology, or a student, or you've got a few books and you've been doing it for a while, but perhaps you need a little bit of help to bring it all together, then maybe getting some astrological coaching from me would be the answer for you. The astrology coaching I offer is a 1-hour session on Zoom, and it's tailored to answer your particular questions. For example, if you have issues with natal chart readings, we can go there. Or if you're having problems working with your forecasting, we can go there. Or even basic astrology stuff, or even getting yourself organized for your astrology business. The idea is that astrological coaching will answer your particular questions. It's tailored specifically to you and where you are in your astrological journey. And I'm happy to help you out with some guidance about how you can get going, what to focus on, and what to dismiss. So that would be the astrological coaching for people trying to learn astrology. The second astrological service I offer is consultations. So this is for someone who perhaps doesn't know anything about astrology, but they just want to have their chart read or get their chart done. Call it what you will. So once more, this is a 1-hour consultation over Zoom. I will interpret your chart, tell you about the main features, tell you about where the energy is flowing, and all the rest of what is entailed in a thorough natal chart interpretation. I can also add in some forecasting in there too, bearing in mind we only have 1 hour. So just in summary, I've got coaching for people who want to learn astrology, and I've got consultations for those who want to get an astrology reading done. I'm Alison Price from Starzology.com. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next time.